In 2016, we saw major global disruptors. We saw internationally Brexit, Donald Trump winning the US presidential election. Locally, we had the Feast Must Fall campaign. We saw low growth, high unemployment, political scandals almost every day. In the tax world, we saw what is probably the biggest global disruptor ever in this space, and that is the introduction of the OECD's initiative on base erosion and profit shifting, or BEPS. So after all of that, it is no wonder that we feel a bit battered and bruised, and perhaps none more so than Minister Gordhan himself. So what taxpayers want at the moment is stability and certainty, and I believe that Minister Gordhan will give us that in his budget speech on the 22nd of Feb. I don't predict that he will make any shocking announcements. We know that he needs additional revenue, but I believe that he will obtain that through the usual ways of increases in the upper personal tax brackets, the sin taxes, which is the old fallback. I don't predict an increase in the VAT rate, even though it is a very attractive proposition, simply because that will be too contentious at this stage. We might see an increase in the lesser known taxes, like security transfer tax. It's a tax on the transfer of shares. At the moment, it's only 0.25%. So it's a very low base, and it can increase relatively significantly and provide additional revenue without being too controversial. He might say that SARS will increase the clampdown on anything that is perceived as tax avoidance, specifically on cross-border tax avoidance, because they now have these tools in terms of the BEPS initiatives to enable them to do that. But other than that, I don't predict anything shocking or dramatic on the 22nd. I believe that Minister Gordhan feels that in the current fragile political and economical climate, he can't really introduce another major disruptor. As I said, one of the main disruptors is the BEPS initiative. And the way that I believe clients should navigate through that is to really ensure that they understand how BEPS impact their business. So make sure that they understand what the aim of the BEPS initiative is as it impacts their business, and they take the measures necessary to address that in advance before it becomes a question of what have you done rather than what will you do.